Help Save the Horseshoe Crabs, a life-saving investment by Joey Lungi, Lewis Mayers, Andrew Rierson, and Matt Rosenstein.
So, what's a horseshoe crab? A horseshoe crab is one of the oldest living species on Earth. They've been around for over 450 million years, mostly due to a pretty unique and anatomical system going on. They lack hemoglobin, which is the way the red blood cells carry oxygen around the body, and instead have hemocyanin. And humans have discovered a way to use this for medicine to our advantage.
Why is this important? Why is this relevant to us? Horseshoe crabs at the moment are becoming very endangered. They produce limulus ambocyte lysate, also known as LAL, which is a blue substance extracted from their red blood cells. This essentially works to fight off all bacteria, and since horseshoe crabs do not have an immune system, this is their way of fighting off things. Today, their limulus ambocyte lysate is used in all medicine today because of its strong antibodies that fight off bacteria. Therefore, it is essential to have it in the future and for their survival rate to increase. Many horseshoe crabs today are important to our food chain, specifically to the red knot who eat off their crab eggs.
What is the problem? Horseshoe crabs are essential to the food chain as well as our own safety. LEL is a clotting agent only derived from horseshoe crabs. The removal process is traumatic for the crabs and can involve prolonged air exposure, extensive travel and holding times, and extreme temperature variances. Scientists have very little idea about how much blood can be safely removed from the crabs and usually insert the needle into the heart, allowing blood to drip until the flow rate slows.
So, what does current research show? Very few experiments have been conducted in the past. And while some show an increased mortality rate for crabs, some have reached inconclusive results. Some show that the blood removed from the body is actually what's causing the problem. Some show that external stressors associated with the removal process are what's causing this increased mortality rate. That seems to be where a lot of the signs are pointing towards increased temperatures and humidity levels and exposed air time, but it's really hard to tell at this point in time.
So what new research is necessary? Going into this, we needed to find the best way possible to find a way for the horseshoe crab's best rate of survival. So we had to look at temperature moderation. We needed to find the reasons or possible solutions in which the horseshoe crabs were having lower mortality rates. We didn't know if this was between the genders, whether male or the females were dying before one another just because of their genders. We didn't know if it was because of the air exposure, humidity, or the temperature levels that were around the areas and where we were picking up our crabs. It also could have been between the operations for extracting their blood, whether it was the test that we were putting on them or in which the process where we would draw blood from them.
So it's important to remember that the crabs are not only important to humans for medical procedures, but they're also important to their ecosystem because they play a key role in the food chain. There are many animals that rely on them for food, so if they were to suddenly go away, then that would cause a huge collapse in the food cycle. So in addition to them having a negative effect in the wild, that would also force us to look somewhere else for this blood that's very valuable in our medical world, which could cause infinite problems on our side. So that's why it's really important that we keep them at stable levels of population. And also it just goes against humans' nature to drive them to extinction. That's sort of an inhumane act that we don't really support or believe in. We believe in animal rights, so simply driving them to extinction for this point of harvesting their blood just goes against morals. So it's very important that we look into this and research to make sure that they're not having these negative effects so that we can ensure to continue doing our procedures now and keeping them safe as well as keeping everyone around them safe.